the support of the private sector, because we are a bank that is based on crowding in the private sector. We need the private sector to give us the money in order to invest, and the private sector supports this. In Jordan itself, we have to make sure that we do not put unnecessarily additional burdens on the coffers of the country, because we know what that situation looks like. So we particularly want to encourage the private sector. Most of our investments go into the private sector, and there I think we have a particularly high multiplier. So I'm very confident, therefore, and we heard this morning your good sentence, Kristalina, to say, well, obviously, Jordan is open for business. My response to that is, so are we.
Finance Minister, walk us through some of the commitments specifically from Saudi Arabia's end, because obviously there's been so much hype and conversation about the Red Sea corridor and the NEOM project and what kind of job opportunities that's going to bring specifically to Jordan. Walk us through that.
I think there are two things. One is we heard, I think this morning from our Harvard professor about the workforce in Jordan and how highly skilled they are. We walk the talk, and we hire, we believe in that, and we hired a lot of them to work in Saudi Arabia, particularly on professions that we still lack Saudi talents. We believe in them, and they are really proving to be a very good talent to have on your side. In NEOM and the Red Sea projects that we are developing, and particularly in NEOM, where part of that territory is Jordan, we believe that will provide significant opportunities for Jordanians, for the rural areas around NEOM, and developments are underway. Discussions with the Jordanian government is underway to make sure that it provides the right support to that part of the region that needs support rather than just the capitals. So we are serious about it, and we'll continue that route in the months to come as NEOM agreement between Saudi, Jordan, and Egypt finalized.
And Mr. Jeva, in terms of the World Bank support for Jordan, I want to focus on women and the opportunities, because we've seen such a transformation in the region over the last couple of years. More women in government, more women CEOs, more entrepreneurs, particularly in Saudi Arabia as well. What are the opportunities there for the World Bank to support Jordan?
We are very excited about the unleashing of the skills and potential of women in Jordan and elsewhere in the Middle East. Why? Because they're highly educated, and yet the rate of employment and participation as entrepreneurs still falls behind. All it needs is actually to have the seeds of entrepreneurship being watered, and we have, with the leadership of the United States and others, a special instrument called WIFI, Women Entrepreneur Financing Facility. Many of the, actually the UK is also a contributor, Saudi Arabia is a contributor. It is a great platform to get women with not just the financial resources. It is important, but not enough, with the support in terms of management capacity, accounting capacity, so they can grow their businesses. And it is fabulous. We also are now looking into the way in which appropriate reforms can be supported. And I mentioned today, Jordan did something so smart: work from home, eliminating restrictions for home-based businesses. Guess what? 70% of those who register home-based businesses are women. So when you take women, internet, and you amalgamate, you have a lift up in the export of services industry in Jordan. Of course, I want to make sure that people in this room know that the World Bank also finances men enterprises.
Before I let you guys go, I wanted to quickly, I should say briefly, because we only have a few minutes, hear from each of you in terms of how do we maintain all of the momentum following this conference, because we're talking about a 5-year timeline horizon, and the reforms, as you say, have already started taking place. There is a lot of excitement about the potential for Jordan, but I want to ask each of you for your thoughts in terms of how do you keep that momentum going?
Well, I think that we need to, the leaders that are here, need to have an ongoing commitment. And I specifically came here today to reflect our administration's commitment to this. As I've said in the past, I'm committed to go to the region. Every year we have very important relationships in the region. We have very important terrorist financing, working with Saudi and the GCC on the Terrorist Financing Targeting Center. I was pleased to go to Jordan last year, and I look forward to going back again and watching the growth firsthand.
Well, on the European Union side, I think we contribute to keeping the momentum already in 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks, 13th, 14th of March in Brussels, where we will be together with the Jordanian government, but also with many others, as I was saying, mobilizing resources, and not only resources, but also political capital, to bring an end to the Syrian war, which would obviously immediately affect positively the situation in Jordan, and mobilizing pledges in concrete terms also for Jordan and for Jordanians. So the first concrete step is in 2 weeks' time in Brussels. And then keeping the attention high, keeping the partnership and friendship as productive as it has been so far, because as Kristalina was saying, Jordan has already delivered. The international community has already started to deliver in support of the Jordanian work. And I think this is something that can only grow in size and in impact on the Jordanian people.
Well, experience says that obviously your question is very, very justified. So we have to see how you can maintain the momentum and why. And I, at the end of the day, do not believe in altruism alone. We have to look at interests. And what we are doing together in Jordan is not only in the interest of the Jordanian people, it's in our own interest in the European Union. And therefore, I'm confident that we will keep the course. Secondly, I believe that we have a very interesting initiative going on in the world under the leadership of the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Tharman, who is working on the better cooperation between the multilateral financial institutions and development institutions. That, I think, is extremely important. It does not make sense that we compete with one another if we can produce so many synergies. And that's the idea of the Tharman Group, and I expect a lot from it. I see my colleague from the Islamic Development Bank is sitting here. We have heard the colleagues from EBRD today. The World Bank Group is here. We must do this together, and together with our National Development Agency and promotional banks. And for us in the European Union, for instance, DFID, here in the United Kingdom, is one of the most important partners in the development activities. And therefore, whatever happens to Brexit, we must find ways to strengthen this network of cooperation.
I think for Saudi, it's very difficult to ask if we are committed to Jordan, because we are Jordan. I mean that, and I seriously mean it. Jordan is really part of Saudi, and we are part of them, and will continue to be committed, and as we have been in the past, and more. I think 2 notes just to follow on Kristalina's earlier comment about Jordan. I think the Public Investment Fund currently is looking at 2 sectors in addition to the infrastructure, which is the healthcare and education. We think there is tremendous opportunities, investment opportunities in these 2 sectors, and we are working with them to develop state-of-the-art healthcare system that would attract the Jordanian back. We have significant talents of Jordanian doctors outside Jordan that can be, if we provide them with the right facilities, with the right research and development centers, with the right medical cities, they will come back, and Jordan can actually utilize them as a health tourism industry. The same with education.
Well, since I'm the last to speak, I would finish on a musical note. And it is that it takes 2 to tango. And what we dream of is the government of Jordan to continue with that steadiness on the reform programs, and for us, the partners, to be there for you. And tango we will.
the London Initiative, only the start. Your Excellencies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you.
Microphone check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Microphone check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Microphone check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bit louder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Thank you.
Prime Minister Theresa May, ladies and gentlemen, it speaks volumes about the relationship between the United Kingdom and Jordan, what happened today. The fact that the UK convened such a fantastic, brilliant group of countries and donor organizations and funds and investors and businessmen and young entrepreneurs and youth says volumes about the type of relationship we have. It's deep, it's historical, it's about common values and ethics, and it's strategic. And just when Jordan needed helping hand, the UK came forward with generosity at a time when you're fighting your own battles, and we are full of admiration for everything that you are doing. Prime Minister, the day could not have gone better, in my view. It was full of testimonies by partner countries about what Jordan had to deal with over the last decade, of crises that Jordan itself had very little to do with, but nonetheless had to bear the brunt and the costs, the political, economic, and social costs of, or testaments by businesses and investors who are already in Jordan, or statements by our young, creative, talented entrepreneurs about their work, or youth about their hopes for the future, or the very important statements that were made by donor organizations, and particularly, I have to say, the IMF and the World Bank. It's not very common for the IMF to say a country has done everything it can fiscally. And we've heard that, and we've heard that with a real sense that, yes, Jordan has done its part. And on the reform side, we have an aggressive reform matrix that we've started. And as a government, and I'm saying in front of you all, we are fully committed to implementing this aggressive reform matrix, mainly because it's good for Jordan, and it's good for its youth, and it's good for its future. So lots of good news coming today, and a declaration from all of us, I guess, that the period about where we're haunted by how do we manage the crisis is behind us. Now we are compelled by how do we take advantage of the growth and opportunities that this land and this region has to offer. Together, as partners, I think we will make a difference. And we will bring back hope to the young generation of Jordan and the region, because the opportunities are there. The opportunities are there. We see them in tourism, we see them in health, we see them in ICT, we see them in industry, we see them in construction, we see them in business process outsourcing, all the services. And we see them in young people's desire to lead healthy, normal lives in partnership with the world for the good of this world. We are doing good to ourselves, to our neighbors, to the refugees, to young men and women, and by doing that, we are also doing well, and that's the uniqueness of this journey that we're taking together. I really appreciate every single person who's made the effort to come here and participate and declare that, yes, there is hope, and we will work together to fully realize it. Prime Minister Theresa May, I hand over the podium to you, and we look forward to hearing your wisdom on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. No, please do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Prime Minister Razaz. It's been a pleasure to welcome you and King Abdullah to London today. And it's been fantastic to see the strength of support from right across the international community as we have come together with the private sector to demonstrate our commitment to Jordan and its future. In 2017, I was delighted to visit Jordan not once but twice, and it was there in Amman that I and the King agreed a new ambitious partnership for the long-term benefit of both our countries. Today, we have built on that partnership through our new initiative, the London Initiative. This initiative backs Jordan's Vision 2025 and supports Jordan in delivering social and economic reforms that will transform its economy, making the most of its young, talented and diverse workforce, and crucially, actively encouraging the participation of its women. That vision is already becoming a reality. Today has demonstrated how much has been achieved and how Jordan's reform programme is already making a difference. And earlier today, I heard from the King directly his own personal commitment to supporting Jordan's government to drive forward these reforms. There, of course, remain complex and long-term regional and economic challenges. But Jordan has a robust and realistic strategy to bring about change. Coming together today provides us with the opportunity to shore up and transform Jordan's economy, work together to tackle instability, and create an attractive environment for investment that can benefit not just Jordan, but all of us now and in the future. And that's why it's been so good to see governments, CEOs and investors backing this new approach to support Jordan.
matching confidence with commitments that will help unlock growth, jobs, and investment. And unlocking that potential to enable Jordan to prosper and remain a beacon of stability matters to all of us. Jordan sits at the centre of a region that has faced turbulence and uncertainty over the last decade. The political upheaval in 2010 and 2011, the emergence of Daesh, and the ongoing conflict in Syria have changed the face of the Middle East. The people of Jordan have demonstrated resilience in the face of these challenges. They have carried a heavy burden. But despite having their traditional trade relationships severed, their energy costs increasing and supply disrupted, they have given shelter and support to more than 650,000 refugees from regional conflict. They've shouldered that load unsparingly, and they deserve our gratitude. All the while, Jordan has been steadfast in the fight against terrorism, steadfast as an ally in the global coalition against Daesh, steadfast in pursuing peace and promoting stability in the Middle East. For decades on these and other issues, Jordan and the UK have stood side by side. As I told leaders at the first EU League of Arab States summit earlier this week, a stable, peaceful, prosperous region matters to the UK, Europe, and beyond. The fortunes of all of our countries have long been intertwined. So we must be clear. A stable Jordan defends us from terrorist groups taking root and strengthens the border security of neighbouring countries. And that is why our collective support for Jordan is so crucial. Jordan is an old and cherished friend of the UK. At the heart of our long-term partnership with Jordan is a broad and deep commitment to tackling common challenges. Our continued close cooperation on defence, border security and intelligence adds to our collective security. And we will work with Jordan and other regional partners to support peace and prosperity in the Middle East and to find long-lasting solutions backed by the international community to sources of instability. And that is why so many of you are here today, to demonstrate our collective support and show Jordan that the international community remains in lockstep with it as it delivers its compelling plan for growth and economic reform. Today has demonstrated that the UK is at the centre of coordinating the assistance that will help lay the foundations for a strong and prosperous future for Jordan. Key to this is the role played by the IMF and the World Bank, pillars of the international system, which defends and supports financial stability and sustainable economic growth, which matters to us all in today's interconnected world. The extent of collective international support for Jordan has been clear from the commitments we've seen and heard today from governments. But we have to remember that the private sector will be the key to catalysing Jordan's economic transformation. And that's why I'm so pleased to have so many representatives from the business community here today. As governments, we can create the frameworks and environments which foster economic growth. But private investment is what will make the real difference. To demonstrate the extent of the UK's own confidence in Jordan and our determination to make the vision that Jordan's Prime Minister and King have spoken about today a reality, I'm pleased that the UK will be underwriting a $250 million World Bank loan to Jordan. This will come alongside a substantial uplift in our grant financing over the next 5 years. This will open the door to reinvigorating Jordan's economy, attracting the investment needed to stimulate growth and create jobs. The UK's assistance for Jordan is a practical demonstration of the approach I set out in Cape Town. This is about working in partnership, sharing our skills, experience and resources to jointly tackle the challenges we face in a way that delivers global security and prosperity. Our commitments are a tangible demonstration of the fundamental strategic shift in the way that the UK is using its aid programme. investing in the UK's national interests in a way that helps shape a global economy that works for everyone. And that is why this government remains committed to spending 0.7% of GNI on official development assistance. We have been and will continue to be a global champion in this area, spending our aid programme innovatively and in a way that delivers value for money for the UK taxpayer. Today has shown us what a modern, reforming, innovative Middle Eastern state can look like, and how a dynamic, stable Jordan can generate benefits not only for its people, but for many beyond. But it is important now that we maintain momentum. I want to thank all those who've made commitments today and everyone here for coming together to demonstrate your support for a brighter, more prosperous Jordan of tomorrow. This has been an important milestone. We have an opportunity and a way forward to support Jordan, and it is crucial that we all pull together as we form a global coalition to back Jordan for the future. A future in which together Jordan and the international community can bring about lasting change. Thank you.